Okay, well, I think we got to start because and we'll, all of us, I want to hear from everybody here. As you know, because I wrote this to you, the primary topic of the meeting is about a policy on how and when we should respond to situations and crises, either in the community or the world at large. We have no guidance on this whatsoever. And we also know that there are great restrictions on us in terms of when we can meet, when we can even have these discussions. So we're not able to act quickly. And I think that we have been somewhat misrepresented very much recently in the press, not noting that, unless we give the public 72 hours of notice, not including weekends and holidays, we can't even meet to discuss these kinds of matters. And then we can't vote unless we have a quorum, and we're already short members. So it's very, very hard for us to have a quorum. We have not
Yep.
had a quorum. So it's hard for us to react quickly and whatever. And also, like I said, when is it appropriate? Also recently, and I know, Olivia, you saw the article. Jess, I don't know if you get the item. I don't, but I get the
know
articles
of
from.
it, but I only know of it because people tell me
Mhm.
they tell me of such things.
Okay. Well, I got a phone call from a former commissioner, someone who was a mentor to me, saying, "We are behind you, all the people that you," and I didn't even know it was in the item. And so I finally got the article. And the article actually, and this was amazing to me because, again, a misrepresentation. We did not get we were not in any way involved with the lighting of the menorah. I didn't even know about the ceremony. I am going to ask Rabbi Greg to make
Oh,
sure that the clergy council in the future, if they have special ceremonies or commemorations, that they please let us know,
yeah.
because they are in a much better position than we are to respond quickly, as they were in 2019. In 2019, when the mosque was attacked in New Zealand, I wasn't a commissioner. None of us were commissioners then.
Yeah. So,
Commission actually, well, they couldn't do anything themselves because they couldn't act quickly. So they asked the clergy council to please do something. So there was a special, I don't know if you call it a protest, but there was an action taken. And the commission just said, we'll just sign our name to the fact that, we agree with taking this action. But we couldn't do anything. In that article, we were accused of taking action in 2019, but not taking action now. Whereas in 2019, we didn't either because we couldn't respond quickly enough. But we asked the clergy council who can. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the news. And I got one nasty email from somebody through the
mhm,
HRC listing.
right.
So we really need to talk about this. Now, I sent all of you, you know, to remind you what our purpose is and what our duties are. And yes, it's to promote the civil and human rights of all, reinforce positive relationships in the community, create educational programs, which is how we try to reinforce, positive relations in the community and instill an appreciation for diversity in the community. We do through our programming and through our postings. Thank you, Livia, for that. Um, it does say that we may take positions and we may communicate them, but it gives us no guidance on when that might be appropriate.
Um,
Um, so that's our problem.
I'd like to take on just speaking to this a little bit because if for no other reason than I'm new. So this was all the who writes what in the item and how people respond to the HRC and what other HRCs have done and even how what we have to do and what our response time. It's all been new for me to learn. Open meeting law and all of that.
And I
And
will say, of all of us, Amy has the longest history because she's been here since the beginning. So we're going to look towards you, Amy, to
yeah.
give us some
Yeah, I
past insights.
turned on
So
my video. Actually, Jessica, do you want to go first, and I can let you know the
yeah,
past?
I'm gonna add a few questions because this to me seems the most logical, um, if possible. So I would like it to, if it's possible, it seems good thing that focuses on the Wakefield community for us to help in posting resources for people to say, you know, if in light of the Middle East October 7th and the subsequent events, I think posting resources for people to say, you know, if you see this, if you experience this, if you're having mental health, like if it's affecting your stress levels or anxiety, these are the places that you can reach out to, so that we're really focusing on the Wakefield community and what might be people, like how world events might be reaching out to here. And I would think that it'd be possible to do that for this and for other things. You know, the news is galloping at a very quick pace right now. So if between us and Health and Human Services, we can kind of work together and say, hey, how can we make sure that everybody has, and Amy, between you as well, because some of these things are, if you see anti-Semitism, if you see anti-Islamophobia, you know, these are the things you can do. Pool our resources to be able to post through Olivia, just resources. That seems one thing. I don't know if it's possible or what organization needs to go behind it. The other thing is a kind of a question in that the meeting that we had right after October 7th, there were no town leaders there, like the town council didn't happen to be at that one. It would be helpful to get guidance for them to sort of, I feel like they have more of a communications department or more of a, they might be able to perhaps have more organization to work with us. And so I feel like that kind of guidance would help if someone is looking for a message or looking for us to respond in any way. I feel like that should be a top-down thing. So those are kind of two questions I have.
One thing I will tell you, Jen McDonald is a town resource to us, and she actually came and spoke with the HRC about how to or not to respond to some of the more toxic social media posts.
Yep.
And basically she said, don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know that
Don't.
we can't, I know we can't respond to everything that somebody says, and I know that some of it is, you know, some of it is just not to be responded to because there's not a response. But I guess in thinking about this and thinking about it, I looked at what say the Melrose HRC did, and and thought about what might be possible considering we are volunteers and what our time schedule is and how quickly we can respond. And it seemed to me like we could possibly always give people resources, and then if someone in any larger organization is looking for us to put together a statement, we could work together with people to do that.
I think that's a perfect suggestion, a terrific suggestion. And my only concern is, how do we get it together quickly enough, especially when we're so short-handed? I
Yeah,
know
I guess
Olivia will post it quickly, but it's very hard to get things together quickly when we're all because the thing about posting is if it's not timely, it's not very useful.
well, do we need to vote in order to post a resource? Like would
No,
we, so to me that would be, I guess that's why I suggest it. It's the thing we can do the most quickly. It's the thing that
exactly.
if we see something or if we know that that world events are going on and you know, like we're all pretty aware of different things going on, I think that that might be something that we could do the most quickly. And then at a farther out pace, I would say if people are looking for, you know, really big statements or an organization is hoping to hold a vigil for something, I would hope that they would show up at one of our meetings and talk to us about that, and that we could then help to think about it. I feel like that to me is our role.
Okay. I'm going to read something to you after Amy speaks that I put together because this has been really vexing to me.
Yeah.
Since Thanksgiving between now and it's not a good way to spend the holiday season thinking about this. So I'd like Amy to give us some perspective from a more longevity point of view.
Yeah, so the original group, and I don't remember if it was, after year 1 or 2, but when it started in 2015, at some point in the first 2 years, someone brought up, because there were events happening in the world, in different countries, and they were saying, should we respond to this or post a position on it? And the group at that time came to the conclusion that, we're more Wakefield based, and not speaking about any current incidents right now, but just in general, if there were things happening in other parts of the world, that we stay focused on like Wakefield surrounding area closer to us, because there's so many different things going on in the world. We couldn't respond to all. And then you're going to have people, well, how come you guys responded to this incident? Didn't you hear about this one? So that was just the position of the group at the time. Again, whatever the current group thinks obviously can be voted on and it could be changed. But I think the group wanted to stay more focused on local things. And in same time constraints, they were all concerned because, you want that like immediate, after something happens, immediate reaction. And they just felt like that, again, with, the open meeting laws, 72 hours, you can't really are not supposed to discuss outside of meetings, that it was almost able to have like a quick response. And then at that point, you have a couple weeks have gone by and it's already, but I love Jessica's idea of posting resources. You just have to be mindful, like if it's, clearly in response to something going on in the world, that if we hear something happening, then we should be posting resources for different things too. So that, again, we're not targeted in the paper, like, oh, well, you posted resources for this crisis, but what about, this group of, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
always going to criticize.
Well, right. And yeah. So go ahead. Sorry.
I got to read this to you because this is what I've been thinking. Okay. And I have been reading statements by other organizations that are very clearly aligned on one side or the other that have not taken a position on purpose. Okay. And they've explained why. But here is one of the reasons why we can't do everything. And I think we also should not get involved with anything that's overly political, because that is not our focus. It's human rights. Okay, we all learn of unspeakable tragedies and injustices each day. There are many that are ongoing, but not in the public consciousness or sadly forgotten. And we all know about these, like Yemen, people, the Congo, it's in the news again, but people aren't thinking about that. The Rohingyas. Okay. The commission may take positions on issues of national, local interest, but stated positions are most often best left to the wisdom of spiritual and elected leaders and town governance, especially if there's divergence of view and cannot be made in a timely manner. What the commission does best, rather than make statements that support one side while leaving out others, is to share information and invite members of the Wakefield community to come together and embrace its better angels. I urge all who believe in this mission to consider applying for a commissioner's seat. Visit the link for the application. And that's what I was thinking about putting as a New Year's greeting kind of thing in the item.
I think that, and I've thought a lot about this and tried to check my own blind spots on this particular subject, because were moving at a pace that I wasn't sure what to do. I am also just, trying to keep up with the news. And at the end of the day, I thought, the ways in which this particular topic and other topics it's possible to think, well, is this going to touch Wakefield? Like, how does this event? I think if we can always ask the question of like, how might this affect Wakefield citizens, and where in that Venn diagram, that is also what is the role of the HRC. And I think in this case, because this is such a hotly debated and polarizing topic, I think that letting people know that if they see any or experience any hate speech from any, and if anybody does in regards to this, or if they're like that kind of thing. It could be, I mean, it is something that has affected people in different communities, and there are increased incidences of some of that. And I think that it's a thing that we could do, because I think we could see how it could possibly affect this community. And I think I'm not going to be able to, as a volunteer trying to keep up with everything, as you say, I'm not going to be able to get every single world event. But I think that I think that if we can see each thing through the lens of what pain it might be causing this community, that might be a way to respond.
I'm going to ask Teresa. I would like to hear from you as well on this. You've been on the commission for now, this is 4 years. And you've seen different things come and go and different ways we've responded or not. So I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that when Officer Randall was talking, I think we had a meeting last year. I think I recall, I'm not sure what had happened, but there was something that definitely had happened in the world. And we had the similar conversation on should we respond? How do we respond? And we decided the same thing, that we had to kind of stay local, because if we didn't, then how are we going to keep up with like everything?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember, like, I don't think we decided on like a script or something like that, but I remember somebody bringing up something that was happening and we didn't react to it, and it was just like, how can we how can we do that? But I like the idea that Jess had about having, like, even if something like resources, or even if we want to say, is this something that you want to reach out to us about, or that we can bring up? But I think that maybe will encourage people to participate more.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, oh yeah, I want you guys to do something about it, but then we don't have enough members of the community really involved with what we do. So
Yeah, I agree. Olivia, I know I saw you put your hand up, and I don't
right.
want to trample over you.
Yes.
But
Yes, I was about to call on Olivia next.
but
she hasn't had a chance
I
to
do
speak.
I do know that for Melrose, and I'm not that we aren't them, but just to use it as an example, it was some like police resources. If you see any violence, it was contact, and it was also contact their WHRC email if you have any concerns, or you have like, so then the community can also reach out if they are like, as opposed to trying to respond to an article in the item, which I don't think we can. I think we can also post ourselves as like, if you have a specific, like if you are noticing something that we are missing, reach out to us.
I would like to just add that document that we have, the program document, resources document, I keep on sending you more and more things, Jessica. I think having that kind of thing on our shared information, electronic storage would be very helpful, because if we can gather the different organizations, resources, contact people, we can then quickly pull out the resources that would be appropriate to a specific incident without having to do all this research on the fly. So I think we should be doing the research as we go. And I've, like I said, I've sent you a bunch of stuff, but I know there's so much more that I don't know about. I sent you something that Amy had sent out that I thought was fantastic, that was very extensive. There were organizations, existed, that I think that they do exist, and they are probably better situated to address a lot of things than we are. Olivia, your turn. You haven't had a chance to say anything yet.
Okay. I really like what you wrote. Although I think that our statement could be really powerful, not statement, but like our action, of, saying that maybe we don't like have a direct statement about this, but want to support our community. I think that mentioning along with elected officials and spiritual leaders, I think it's a good chance for people to reflect upon themselves and their beliefs in human rights, and make their own like thoughts and feelings about it, because there is power like in the individual and growth that can be found from thinking about these events. And I do wish that more members of our community who really have a strong opinion about this kind of stuff would come talk to us, because we'd be happy to discuss and hear what they have to say. but sometimes I think short of knowing all of our personal beliefs and vilifying whoever, no one will be happy. So I really like your ideas of, you know, putting it out to the community and having them come to us with concerns or putting out resources for everyone. I think that's a really good step, you know.
I will tell you about something that occurred. Oh, Teresa, you probably remember this. I think this was back when Benny was chair or maybe before. They tried to put together a generic template of fill in the blanks that you can use for all situations. I think I abstained from voting on this because I thought that it was, you can't do paint by numbers, fill in the blanks for some of the situations but we have something like that. And it's like, in response to blank, the Wakefield Human Rights Commission would like to take this opportunity to reaffirm the town's commitment to following a supportive and welcoming community. Acts of blank, like blank, will not be tolerated. I mean, this is, I think, in response to something specific. And fortunately, we have not had incidents, at least that I know of, and Amy, you might know of, in our town in recent years, that, well, actually, we did have some with, I think, young members of the football team a couple of years ago. But it's, I don't know, the fill in a blank thing like this made me very uncomfortable. Teresa, you were there back then. What do you say? Hello?
Yep, I'm here. No, I
Okay.
just thought that I think it all depends, right? Like sometimes I think people are expecting us to respond to things, even though I don't think they understand exactly like how we function, that we're volunteers, that we can't just like get together and meet, like, you know, when something happens, like we have to follow like certain rules. So I think we have to kind of look at it like, all right, do we have something set up so we can respond right away? Or do we kind of send a message out saying, remind people that, you know, we're just a group of volunteers, that there's, you know, certain laws in the town, or I don't know, I would feel better just having something, maybe better than nothing, but then also encourage people to participate, right? To reach out. Like I remember I saw that article or I saw something online and I was just kind of like, I honestly ignored it because I figured like we weren't even involved in that at all. Like that didn't make sense to me that somebody would be putting us out there for something that we didn't even do. So I was just like, oh, you know.
Yeah, to me it's and this I guess is the thing that uh bugged me for lack of a better way of saying it, is that I think having not a fill in the blanks thing, because I don't know that it's I think that
I think
maybe
it
a
makes
general
minimalizes.
statement, like having a general statement that we don't have to vote, like something that we don't have to vote on, like, well, this is who's going to draft this, when are we going to meet about who's going to draft this, like if we have boilerplate a boilerplate statement that we can then say, okay, something has happened that we feel is affecting enough people, or it is affecting this community, or it could be something that's affecting this community, and we do want to post XYZ resources. We would have that boilerplate text that could go along with whatever we thought was the right thing. I don't mean to then use it for every single thing that happens in the world. It would just be something that is written and would work in the case that it's needed without us having to meet about writing it. Does that make sense? I feel
So
like
like
I'm sort of tautological right now, but
an introductory statement on why we're providing resources.
yeah, a boilerplate introductory, like why we're what we do again, what our organization is about.
Mhm.
Always remember to reach out to us if you think that if you, or come to our meetings if you have if you want to have a conversation with us and blah, 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 whatever it is, like, and then use that as like that's the introduction to then whatever we think we should, whatever resources we feel like should be provided, because this particular moment in time, it was a very big moment, and it's a very troubling world event that has unseen repercussions for the future. And I'm not saying like that kind of thing is happening every day, although the world, but I think it brought to mind that for me, and this is why it raised my ire a little bit, is that on that first meeting after October 7th, nobody was at our meeting to say, oh my God, I'm so concerned about X, Y, and Z. No town councilors were there, no town members were there. And so in that way, and I'm not saying, look at you all, you didn't do anything either, but it is one of those things that it's like, well, this was a pretty big event, and it wasn't like everybody was rushing to our doorstep asking the WHRC, like, what will we do next? And so I think like in that way, having this kind of statement and having it agreed upon that, like, in certain situations going forward or in life events, we would post resources. We just we know that is something that we agree is okay, or is something that we could do, and then we can kind of roll that out as necessary for whatever whatever it is, like, it's just there, so that because in these unknown situations, I kind of I think that, I don't know, I think it answers to something that to me ended up feeling like, well, taking us to task for something. Like, I also don't want a group of volunteers to be taking on the extra brunt of being attacked every time something happens, because we don't have this. So it would just be something to kind of prevent this kind of, like, I don't know, needling.
I have to tell you, in terms of the particular journalist, we're not going to be able to prevent it. He's been going at us.
No, I know, but at least if we have it,
but I know he's not going. But Olivia needs to speak because she's
Yes.
had her hand up for a while. So let's let Olivia speak.
Okay, I just want to say I think it's good for us to have something prepared, but I also want to err on the side of caution to not have some sort of like platitude, like basic thing, because again, that might not reflect all of our beliefs. Like, this is a town council, or the town commission, it's about human rights. It doesn't serve the part to represent all of us personally. It's more about the mission. And I wouldn't want to, like, I know maybe you guys wouldn't want to, but I wouldn't want to put my name on like a blanket type platitude, just personally. And I'm sure you guys probably agree. So I think that if we were to do anything like that, I'd prefer to have it more just about our mission and just not make a statement about any sort of specific thing unless we like really think about it. But then again, like, I think that could really go wrong. Especially because people in our community, they might not like what some of us have to say, or it could be a point of contention between a lot of people. And I think our mission with the Human Rights Commission is a really strong one. And I think that human rights are very political, and the personal is political too. But I think as a town commission, we can do a lot of good just in providing resources or being there as a commission where people can come talk about what they think, rather than trying to make big statements that maybe it's not fair of us to ask of us to all agree on something.
Yeah.
We won't. And, of course, the people, who are writing stuff, they will never be happy. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
And
we can focus on what we can do really well, without having to try to appease anyone, because there is really no appeasing in any sort of situation like this. It's like your personal beliefs, and nothing you can do or should do will be enough, for people. So I think we can stick to what we do best, which is providing resources and being a sounding board if people will come talk to us.
I
Okay, I would
agree
like
with
to
that.
summarize the things you've said here, because
Yeah.
we're going to have to go forward and we have a few things we want to do. Okay, so in summary, we would like to focus on how, if we would like to focus on things that affect our local community. I don't even know how we necessarily ascertain that, because we do not hear back from everybody in our local community. Unfortunately, like I said, we haven't had a lot of these incidents, but focus on what we think affects our local community and is consistent with our mission. And stay within our role with the HRC, which is not to solve the problems of the world. It's to
Right.
be sort of a guiding light. And to that purpose, we are going to develop a very rich compendium of resources, so that when something does occur that we think affects our community and they might need assistance, we can then put out there. And each of these times we put that out there, we will begin that with, and all the language already exists in our bylaws and in our mission statements. We will have an introductory statement indicating that we are doing this to assist the local community in dealing with some of the very difficult and emotional and in some ways horrific events, that we are witnessing. So going forward, again, we're going to do two things. We're going to get that resource thing together, and we're going to have a brief couple of sentence statement. I think ancillary to this, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we need to better educate people on how all the town commissions work. And I've already asked Steve Mayo if he would meet with me and said, "This thing's going on, I need your guidance." And it was about this, about reacting to things. So I'm going to keep following up with that and have a sit down with Steve about what is expected of us beyond this, because we have to be realistic. There are only 8 of 11 people who are eligible to be on this board. And then we have our wonderful liaisons. And I have reports from, he couldn't be here tonight, from Pete about the flags and the schools and things like that. We have wonderful people to work with, but we don't have many. And like you said, we are restrained from acting quickly. So we do need to educate people more about how because nobody knows this. I mean, people don't realize they don't know the open meeting laws.
Yep,
So
that's true.
So we do have at least an action plan going forward. And like you said, boilerplate ends up being platitudes, and we all have different feelings about different things.
Well, and if I just to clarify on boilerplate, I would say the boilerplate is not a fill in the blank for future things,
That's
but
right.
it's more of a reminder of what our mission is. I think that's something that is focused on what we do, or focused on why we're here, is more what I was thinking. And I think talking to CMAO would be great, because I think that, I don't know, I
Okay.
I have thoughts on the noticeable absence of of leadership in light of a major like world event.
Okay. Olivia, is your hand still up, or you want to say a little bit more before we move on to the next item? Because
This is really
wanna-
quick. In terms of educating people on like how our things work, I know we might not like to, but I think a really effective way would be going on those like awful Facebook groups, because that's where most of the people who complain are. Maybe even an op-ed into the item about it. Like, I think we could utilize that, because it is important for all town commissions and stuff. It's important to know how your town government works. So that might be a good place to start with that. Okay, that's it.
And I will ask Steve about that.
Sherry,
And
who's our
actually, they should put that out, not us.
Right.
You
liaison
know,
with the town now?
well, Steve
Oh,
and
but doesn't like each group have like a set town council, like the
well,
liaison?
unfortunately, this year, Maureen has not been available, and she's usually our liaison to the town council. Jonathan and Mike McLean were here at the last meeting specifically about flag policy. If Maureen is not able to guide us, and she's always been wonderful in guiding us, maybe someone else from the town council can, I'll ask them if,
Yeah, 'cause I
I'll
was
ask
just looking.
Maureen first. If it's too, if she's very busy, and I'll ask if she, perhaps can relinquish that role to someone else if it's really not in her abilities right now.
That on like the email list, normally we would have the town council representative, a liaison in the email, but we don't even have anyone in our email, so they wouldn't even necessarily be reminded or remember about the meeting if they're not getting the Zoom link. Or so I don't even see it there. I
They
recognize
do. They do get the initial Zoom link. Everybody gets it. All of the liaisons get it.
Okay, yeah,
So
no one 17th with this tonight's meeting, that's all.
maybe-
Or
okay, maybe the initial Zoom announcement has everybody on it,
okay.
but they might, and then I send out after handouts and things, and I send it to everybody because I put together my own Gmail group for my own Gmail for WHRC 2023 because I found that people weren't getting email. So I wanted to make sure they get it. But yes, we do look towards them, and that's the reason why, and this is the next thing on the flag policy. I reached out. First of all, I took a walk in town and I reviewed the flagpoles. Do you all know how many flagpoles there are in town and where they are? Okay. Do you know where there might be more than one flagpole? We know where there's
The civic
only
center.
one place.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, the
America.
civic. Yeah.
Okay. So I was walking around and thinking the person who had approached us last time, Miss Scott, about the flagpoles, I don't think she realizes that there's only one flagpole at Town Hall. We don't even have the state flag flying, which I guess we're supposed to have flying, but we only have one flagpole there. It has the American flag and the MIA flag. Across the street, the Veterans usually has the American flag, and sometimes I think they have the MIA flag too. The AmeriCal has the American flag, and the flagpole, the second flagpole, they have been wonderful allowing us to have our Pride and Juneteenth commemorations there. It does not fly all the time, that is true, because other things are allowed to fly, not everything. The schools also have basically one flagpole each. And as it turns out, she wanted to know how we feel about the pride flag being raised in June at the AmeriCal, not at Town Hall. Well, it can't be raised at Town Hall because there's only one flagpole. They'd have to take down the American flag. And
How much does a flagpole cost?
a lot because they've got first of all, they have to withstand all kinds of weather and they have to be drilled deep into the ground. And I know just from putting up a fence with post, and this is like a flagpole that's really tall, that they have to drill down and create quite the cement foundation for it. So it is a costly thing. We could suggest the town consider getting a second flagpole so they can have other commemorative flags hanging at Town Hall, maybe for the future. But right now, that's all the flags there are. And in terms of the schools, I said, well, is the school committee talking about this? Because she said, we should be going to the school committee so they'll talk about it. Well, the school committee doesn't determine what hangs on their flagpoles. That's the town council. The town council determines everything. And yes, we can suggest that the schools have different things that promote pride in their schools. And they do. The Galvin and the high school both have, I guess, many different kinds of displays of pride, and some of the elementary schools do. And that has been up to the individual administration and faculty members. It is not a school committee policy, and it's not a strict policy by the town council. So I don't know what Mrs. Scott expects us to do. I think that we are very pleased that they allow us to have our ceremony.
I think
And
that the sense I got was that there was a feeling not against us, but more possibly against the town council that using the AmeriCal Center turns it into something of a like it's it just is. It's like, well, the AmeriCal Center is there to serve XYZ thing, and they're letting us put this flag up, but then there's it then brought some pushback as to the pride flag and Flag Day, which is itself a little bit of a dog whistle if conversation, and that if the town council or town hall just had another flagpole or would invest in something like that, it would move it to up to the town, to a town building that was perhaps more appropriate. I am, again, considering I don't know how much a flagpole costs and cannot claim to know such things. I can't really weigh in on this, but I do see, I don't know, I can see the point of it being perhaps easier since town council are, they're the ones who decide which flags go up when. I don't know. That's all I could understand from that one.
I know Olivia wants to say something. I just wanted to add that one of the reasons they have this very kind of narrow and strict policy is because they did not want to end up having conflicts constantly with all different types of groups and points of view. So they've decided it would be very, very clear, and they would keep it limited in its focus. And like I said, there's only just so many flagpoles. We once had our ceremony at the library, which was fabulous because it was more central to the town, but the library decides on its own which flags and which things they wanted. And they let us use their plaza for other things, which is great. So we cannot complain. The library is fabulous. Olivia, you wanted to weigh in on the flags.
I mean, as far as I know, I think we could probably just defer it back to the town council because I've read a lot of the town meeting notes and stuff, and they have addressed this several times and are very clear on their policy. And we have said that we like putting up our flags for our holidays. It's worked in the past, and we have the cooperation of town council. I don't think we have really any power in determining who flies what flag when, so it's really like not like we've said what we said, we've addressed it, but there's not much more we can do, I don't think. I think that's an issue that needs to go to someone else.
Okay, I will respond to Mrs. Scott that we have continued our discussion and, you know, and give her the basic outline of what we've learned, and that we are very happy that the town provides us with the space and the pole to commemorate. And perhaps in the future, if there were additional poles in town, closer to town hall, we would be nearer to town hall. But right now we are not. There's only one flagpole there. So I think that's enough on that one because we spent so much time on this the last time. And I wanted to just bring out some things about the upcoming event. I need all hands on deck on the day. I have a committee. We've been working. I've gotten lots of help. But on the day of Martin Luther King Day, we're going to need people to be greeters and to be there if someone wants to buy a "Hate Has No Home Here" sign, to help us. I hope we get artwork from students. I've been promoting it like crazy to the schools and the art administration of the town. I've asked the youth council to step in and help us. I haven't heard a word from Ali yet. I wish Michaela was here. Maybe she can help me more. I asked Vanessa too to help us because she's more activist. And it's going to be, we're having a reception, and we're going to have the Northeast folks catering service, so we don't have to go running around getting food. Although I will end up having to go to the paper store and get stuff and, you know, lay out some money and napkins and things like that. But that's not, the food will be taken care of. But on the day, I have to really ask you guys, please be there to support this event and help out. Because I'm going to be the MC. I just actually postponed some dental surgery so I didn't have packing in my mouth so I could talk on the 15th. And since I have to be up on stage. So I really hope to have all of your support. And like I said, I do have a committee and everybody has things that I have asked them to take care of. WCAT will be there. We're going to have closed captioning. They're going to take care of the sound. They're going to record it. So anyone who is not able to attend can watch the event afterwards. We'll have a link for them. So we can use that as post publicity about the good things that we do to promote people's understanding of just being tolerant, peaceable, listening, understanding. We do not have all of our program set yet. We do have our keynote speaker, which I told you the last time. I mean, Senator Lewis has agreed to speak, and he's a wonderful speaker. Rabbi Greg will do the invocation. I've asked Jeremy to please read the land acknowledgement. I hope he will be there. If not, I guess I'll ask one of you to read the land acknowledgement. I'll just welcome everybody and keep the axe moving. And I'm hoping that we have a poetry winner, a young student who can read their poem. I'm hoping we have more entertainment. We do have confirmation that Orange Nation, who danced last year, this is a fantastic young group, Black women. They're going to be dancing again. They're going to perform. But we're still looking for, and of course, the school holidays right now, looking for more student musical performances and readings. And we'd like to have 4 children. It might end up being some Girl Scouts because I got in touch with the Girl Scouts and Brownies. 4 children from combination of Metco from different schools, maybe Girl Scouts, read the different parts of the I Have a Dream speech, which is traditional. But we're going to have closed captioning, so it will be up there for everyone to see as well. And the closed captioning also is important because there might be people in the audience who are not able to hear as well. And also when we do have it recorded, anyone who might have hearing impairment will be able to see closed captions. So we thought that that was a way of being more sensitive to people who might have some hearing impairment. So that's what's going on with that. But please put it on your calendar. Be there and tell me you're going to be there so I can then, once it's new after the New Year's, starting next week,
I will be there.
Who said that? Teresa, thank you.
Yep, I will be
No,
there.
I see you here every year. And it's a wonderful event. If you've never been, it's why I joined the HRC. That was my introduction. Martin Luther King Day, Coretta Scott King Day. I just thought it was a wonderful event and so reflective of what this group stands for, which is what I've been emphasizing in press releases too. That these are the messages we send. And this happens to be a particular event that strongly sends those messages. So, okay. The last thing on here, well, I said matters not anticipated. We haven't started talking about International Women's Day. That's in March, but we will soon. And fortunately, that is not such a heavy lift. Plus, we have Catherine from the health department working with us. And that's usually a panel. You just have to find the right people, put together the right questions, and we send it to them in advance. And it always is another wonderful event. And it's a wonderful event. I wish more boys would be there, but people bring their girls, their young girls. And it's a wonderful event when they hear these very inspirational women tell their stories. And this year, as you know, it has to do with technology. So Jessica, I'm going to actually want you to be very involved with this because you're a tech person. And yeah, well,
I mean, yes, I am.
Tech as a career. No,
Yeah.
as a career. It's part of your career. And we're going to be looking for women whose lives have been affected because they've been able to work in tech and create lives for themselves and identities for themselves through tech. I'm going to ask Jen McDonald. We're going to try to do sort of a broad range of different kinds of people. I know if you don't know, Jessica is a programmer on gaming.
I'm more of I'm a writer, so I do more of the narrative, but I am definitely in a very, very male dominated career. But and I do have a background in I've got a background in coding and programming prior to that. But
Yeah.
I wasn't adept at it enough to make that software developer money.
But the fact that you had that knowledge and writing skills provided you with an opportunity within the larger tech community. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's
Yes,
what's going to be
I can help with that.
Okay. Any other matters not anticipated? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Jessica made the motion.
Olivia made it. I'll second
Olivia made
it.
the
Do we need
motion.
a second?
Jessica seconded. Olivia in favor?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Teresa? In favor of the motion to adjourn?
Yes.
This is Sherry. I'm in favor. Amy, we know you are because you want to go home to your well, actually you're at work. So, but thank you so much for being here and giving us your insights into what came before. We appreciate it very much. All of
Yeah.
you, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy
And